video here on yours truly because she actually has a whole lot to say, since the last time I posted a video about issues and circumstances that she pretty much puts herself in, regarding her observation of people. And of course, the all too familiar theme that, people do her wrong, even though she doesn't do anybody else wrong. It's just one of those things that I like to call it a disease, if you will, a disease of the mind. And basically, when we talk about diseases of the mind or whatever, we already know that, there is no clear thinking involved. That's the reason why I like to kind of start this video off with talking about, for the most part, the classic, situation that we have here, which is what we would call insanity. Now, there may be a lot of, fancy definitions and everything like that as far as what we would classify or call insanity, and again, I like to just basically, call it, basically doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. And, to me, that is, for the most part, a good real world definition, if you will, of the concept of insanity. And again, we have to call it a disease, but, it's a disease of the mind because it pretty much causes us to think that we're going to somehow achieve greatness, even though what we've been doing in the past has been proven not to work. But again, with people that actually has this disease or this error in thinking, they figure that even the more that they keep doing the same thing, at some point, something must change or something must be different. But, again, I went ahead and just wanted to consult, for the most part, the internet to kind of chime in to see, for the most part, what does the internet call or define the concept of insanity, and basically, it's stated for the most part the same thing that I pretty much said, which is a state of being seriously mentally ill. Now, I didn't say anything or anybody was mentally ill, even though I may have insinuated it in the past or what have you. But for the most part, the internet's definition of this concept is pretty much the same as far as what I'm saying. So basically, it can't be anything as far as me wanting to put someone down. But the issue is that when you're talking about the concept of insanity, basically it's where you have a situation where the person is their own worst enemy. And basically, we have to understand what that really means. A person is their own worst enemy, and then it says that, they're mentally ill. And then there's, for the most part, madness. And basically, we have a lot of that's actually being illustrated in past videos from, your girl Karma Kaboom, where she's always posting for the most part. And basically, she gets very passionate and emotional, in her videos. And of course, you have the right to be emotional because, again, it's your content. But it's just the fact that the things that she gets upset or overworked over is, for the most part, things that she caused on herself. And basically, if you turn around and actually illustrate this or put it in her face and actually ask her to kind of dissect this and actually understand what you're saying, of course, she'll get, an attitude and, of course, get all, the mouth starts and the gum starts to flapping. And basically, it ends up with, attack on someone's sexuality, somebody's, person, it just comes to an all out fight where there are hits below the belt. And the thing about it, again, is that it's a shame when you actually have people who actually want for you to be real with them. And when you are real with them, they can't handle the truth, and for those type of people, and I run into these type of people all the time, basically, and we all know someone. And the thing about it, no one is perfect. I get that. But the issue is that that's just like when you are asking God to show you. I don't want to hear about nobody else, but show me, Lord, and he begins to show you or turn that mirror on you and let you see all of the things that he sees. We get upset. We get bitter. But the thing about it, again, is that, God is only doing what you asked him to do. And that's basically to show you. And the same thing with, Karma Kaboom, when, she wants people to be real with her, she can't handle the truth. And then again, she gets very again, childish and begins to do the name calling thing. And basically, she always liked to say, well, I'm not going to cuss. I'm not going to cuss. But if I were going to cuss, this is what I'm going to say. I mean, it's just the fact that you say whatever you want to say because you want to say it. Don't sit up there and actually make excuses saying that, if I wanted to say this, this is what I would say. Because, again, you had it purposed in your heart already to say it. In the book, in the New Testament, it always tells us out of the abundance of the mouth, the heart speaks. So basically, it's letting me know that you had it already buried and already purposed in your heart to say whatever it is that you're going to say. And for the most part, you may have even rehearsed it. You never know. But the issue is that you have to be able to identify issues in personalities. And basically, again, from this standpoint, we're talking about the concept of insanity. And basically, again, the other definition that the internet gives us for this is, for the most part, extreme foolishness or irrationality. And basically, that's pretty much, again, error in thinking. Basically, you're not rational. The things you don't make sense in what you say, and the thing about it, again, is that it intrigues me to the point where I like to look at her videos because, again, she is, again, a very educational person. You can't take that away from her. And the thing about it, again, is that you have to be careful about what you take away from people, because if you're not careful, you'll develop the same bad habits or the same qualities, if you will, that they exhibit. So for the most part, I take away a whole lot. And the thing about it, again, is that every time she says something, I'm actually, just questioning what would provoke her or what would make her either think like that or say things like that. And the thing about it, again, is that, it's like to the point where I can pretty much write a whole novel on this chick. I mean, because she really has issues. I mean, nobody is perfect. We all have issues. Some of them are outwardly where folks can actually see it. And some of them where, are inward, where only, you and the good Lord above know about it, and he can help you deal with it, but it's just the fact that with some people, they really feel that they don't have any issues, or they have it all together, or they are okay enough to talk about other people. And that's pretty much where, we have the issue with this character here, Karmika Boone. But, she actually, did recent, videos. She actually did a couple of recent videos. And basically, some of them I kind of sat through and kind of watched, till the end. And some of them I just didn't really have the time. I mean, I would actually start the video and just kind of briefly view it. And then I would just kind of go off, because basically you pretty much know for the part, you just pretty much know how she operates. And, when you can actually pinpoint how somebody operates, it's like the same old thing every day, nothing's different, which again is the concept of what I was calling, earlier, the insanity concept. But basically, we're talking about, she was in a video, I don't know how many videos ago this was, but basically she was talking about, I guess, one of her friends, her so-called friends, her many subscribers or whatever, that she actually wanted to, attack this person, calling them a man, woman, and all of this other type of stuff, because she did me the same way, so that's why I kind of was intrigued about, what would make her insult somebody like this. So basically, from what I got out of the video is that, they were both talking about somebody. And see, one thing about it is that you got to be careful when you are talking about somebody, especially when you already know, you really don't know what type of terms or friendships you are talking, you know what I'm saying? You don't know pretty much the real, I guess, terms as far as the quality of the friendship of the person that you're talking to, but you're talking to that person about somebody else, so basically you have to be careful when you are actually, as they say, bumping the gums and talking about somebody to your so-called best friends, because I always tell people, the person who you call your best friend, they have a best friend as well. And basically they don't have no bones, or no hangups about going to that other person who you two just talked about and telling that person what they said, not what that other person may have said also. So that's why you actually have to be careful. And if you must talk about somebody, you better make sure that whoever you're talking about, you better make sure that you come to some sort of an agreement. I don't care if you got to maybe, make some sort of oath or whatever to let them know that, hey, what we're going to say here, it doesn't leave these four walls, because basically, she really does not know how to pick associates. or what she would like to call friends. And see, one thing about it, again, is that with her, every time something actually, breaks loose, she'll always say, well, I always knew that this person was not a true friend and this, that, and the other. I was just testing them. And the thing about it, again, is that people who are just foolish always say things just to save face, especially when they've actually been caught in an issue. And see, she's the type of person, again, she doesn't never want to take accountability. She never does. And these are the things that she always preach and put on other people. But again, when it comes to shining the light on yourself or her, she does not want to take that accountability. She'll always want to put it off on somebody else as if it's their fault. But, going back to this particular video that she was talking about, she was going on and on about, again, about this person ran back and told this other person about, the conversation that those two had, and basically told that person everything that she said, but not what they said. And pretty much you got to understand something. The word friendship these days is just so flaky. And the thing about it, again, especially, and I'm not a racist person, but the thing about it is that I have to be very careful. The older you get, you're supposed to become wiser. Okay. In everything that you do, that's not to say that you're not going to fall or slip or anything, along the path or along the journey of getting or obtaining wisdom. But you need to be smarter with your dealings with people. And see, one thing about it is that in order to do that, you actually have to study people. I mean, true talk. You really have to sit back and see how certain people operate. Because, again, anybody can give you a great face and a good smile and everything and talk good and saying, this, that, and the other, or I'll be here for you, this, that, and the other. And basically, if you're desperate and already of low self-esteem already, then you're going to eat up everything that they say. Because, again, you want to feel belong. You want somebody to actually care enough about you to listen to what you have to say. And basically, she is that type of person. Again, this is not a video of dumping off on anybody, but this is just being real about life. Carmen Kaboom can teach you a whole lot about life. That's the educational parts that I get from her. And I want people to understand that. Okay, it's not about me picking on anybody. It's not about, me trying to stump on somebody. It never was about that. And it's certainly not about talking about somebody because, again, even though I may be, quote unquote, talking about her, I know someone is talking about me, but that's okay. And the reason why I say that's okay is because I don't have to be what the other person says. Again, because my whole thing is that I really don't hardly go around anybody. I'm pretty much an introvert. I stay to myself. Now, I do have people that, I have a life. I go out. I have folks that I may kick it with or whatever, or hang out with from time to time. But even in that, I'm still careful about how close I'll allow them to get to me or how involved I get, myself with them. There still has to be a line that's drawn because my thing about it, again, is that through living, you learn things. And the thing about it, again, is that when you learn things, you pretty much learn both the good and the bad in the situation. What can you take away from this so this won't happen again? What did you learn from this situation? So it won't be a repeated action. But in her case here, it's like she doesn't know how to learn how to deal with people and for the most part, and how to let people be who they are. You know what I mean? And basically with this situation, I guess it hurt her so bad till she just really attacked this dude. I'm assuming it's a dude because, she called it a man child and all of this other type of stuff. I mean, just going in on this particular, person. And basically, I guess it's funny because the more you talk about or go in on somebody who you already knew or had questions about who, they may not be your best friend, it makes you look like a fool. Because you knew that this person was no good for you or didn't have your best interest at heart, but yet still you chose to do the worst thing that you can and put your mouth on somebody. She said this person would always, was a subscriber, would actually donate money. I think if I'm understanding her in her video, she said that this was a long-time subscriber who would donate money, but basically they had an agenda. And see, one thing about it, again, is that we already know that Karma Kaboom is all about money. She loves money. I don't care what anybody says. She loves money. And basically, even though she, quote unquote, actually, I guess, had I guess, questions about the true authenticity. How can I say it? The true authenticity. There we go. Now we got it. About the motives of this person. She, I guess, wants to classify or say that, she gave this person the benefit of the doubt. See, one thing about it is that you can only give the benefit of the doubt to people only for so long. I mean, I guess because of the funds kept coming in, I guess she kind of, was willing to put up with whatever this person was doing, even though she knew that this person did not have her best interest at heart. So, the person would always ask her, hey, can you open up the old videos that you may have put on private, this, that, and the other, and it's like, okay, well, common sense would tell you, if you're thinking clearly, and of course, we already know for the most part how far that goes with her, that if you already know or had a suspicion that this person was behind previous videos where they were making fun of your medical condition, which of course she already openly displays as having diabetes, I would actually question everything that you say. And the thing about it again is that I'll say this, maybe she did question everything that this person said. But the issue is that when you waive that money or donations, because that's what she's all about, she's still all about the donation, you will put your common sense to the side, you'll put your rational thinking to the side, and you'll just be willing to put up with whatever risks comes with, accepting what they're wanting to offer. You know what I mean? But at some point, you got to grow up and use common sense. You have to. How long are you going to be there thinking and acting and behaving like a child? So now she's, I guess, supposedly starting to see the true motives of most of the people who are subscribed to her. I remember in previous videos, that I did about her, I already had pretty much put the nail in the coffin when I pretty much said that for the most part, most of her subscribers, and I will say maybe about 85% of her subscribers, are there just to see how foolish she really is. And the thing about it, again, is that we're going to go into that a little bit more deeply in just a moment. But for the most part, that's pretty much what it is. That's why I don't hold fast to anybody who calls themselves a subscriber. I used to. But once I really learned about what YouTube is and how people are and how fickle they are, one moment they're for you and the next minute they're not, I had to learn this, and I had to learn it the hard way. And yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, if you're not really in control of this situation, it will have you coming back thinking that you're the problem. But the issue is that I had to learn and look deep within myself to say, hey, you know what? You have to grow a thicker skin. And the fact about it is, again, is that whenever we do videos on YouTube, just in general, we have to accept the risk of being, of accepting good and bad. It is what it is. But with some people, they figure that they got to always get the good, that they better not ever experience the bad. Or if they experience any bad, then there's hell to pay. But with her, it really doesn't mean much. It's so insignificant because, again, we already know for the most part how she handles, situations such as these, where, people are talking about you, and this, that, and the other. But the issue is that she takes it personal. She really does. She takes it personal to the fact that, she wants to say, that she's talking about intellectual property. And we'll get into that a little bit as well about, people using her images and all this other type of stuff without her permission. Hey, many people have used and the thing about it, I'll say this: there are images of if you are somewhat famous or have some sort of I would say reputation, especially here on YouTube. If you type your name in or type her name in or whatever on the YouTube or any search engine, you're going to see that there are images of these people. Now, these days, what I do is I don't necessarily get images of people off of Google. I actually view the video and take snapshots because, again, those are pretty much the safest way, because basically with that, those are what we would consider safe for fair use. And again, we'll talk about that later on as well. But my issue is that you got to be careful about, again, how you handle situations, because basically, it's all about, it's more telling about you than the other person. Again, I was going through, my thread, on social media, and basically, I came across, I guess there was 2 posts that Carmen Kaboom posts. And basically, I wanted to kind of go in and kind of give my commentary on pretty much what she had to say, because basically, it's like she keeps my mind full of she keeps me thinking. Because the thing about it is that that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm actually grateful because, again, nobody is perfect. We are all imperfect people who are supposed to be striving for perfection. But you cannot strive for perfection when you are actually willing to continue to be the fool. But she actually made a post here, and I'm going to go through it and read it for you real quick, because, again, it's so funny that with her post, you know, she always want to actually, I guess, post something that kind of sounds somewhat, I guess, understandable, I guess. Something that is, for the most part, clear thinking. But her viewpoint of it and how she wants to relate it to this particular saying is just, for me, it's just foolish. But anyway, she says here that this is a reminder of why I can't afford to tolerate absolutely no toxic trash energy in my environment. And I can't afford to be beefing with algorithm bums and sewer rats in real life. I have an anointing on my life, and it's imperative that I align myself with quality people, places, and things and operate in my higher self. Now, I will say this is that, you know, she really is, she's an intelligent person. She knows how to write clearly. You know, she has a clear grasp of the English language. But when she actually tries to, you know, put her thoughts together to convey an emotion, she really doesn't understand that it really takes away or actually is in contradiction of the type of person that she has made herself out to be here on YouTube. You know, and the thing about it, again, is that, you know, she mentions the concept with beefing with people. And see, one thing about it is that there can't be any type of beefing with somebody when you don't give anybody any quote unquote energy to beef with. There's been many times, you know, in my YouTube career, when I first started YouTube, and that was back in, I think, 2010, you know, because, you know, I learned of this YouTube thing, and that, you know, the fact that you can actually, you know, put your thoughts and opinions out in the open, and people would most likely, you know, grab a hold of what you're saying, and you all could, you know, sit down and talk about it rationally. That's what I thought YouTube was all about. But I quickly learned that there are just some people that love drama, you know, and we call them trolls, you know. But even in dealing with trolls, you know, again, or what I thought, you know, as far as my dealings with them when I first came to YouTube, I thought that, you know what, that, you know, it would be okay to engage them, you know, and the thing about it is that you have to do that, but you have to do it with caution, you know, and the thing about it again is that you learn as you go, you know, you never reach the fact where you actually become completely, I would say, all knowing about situations, because sometimes life can throw you a curveball and things can turn on a dime in a moment. But what I've learned is that, you know, I actually will pick the brain of a quote unquote troll only to a certain point. Because one thing about it, again, is that you cannot keep feeding fire. You know, you have to sometimes just cut off the air supply. And when you cut off the air supply to a fire, it has to die down. It has to stop. Fire cannot keep going on when you keep actually giving it a reason to live. And see, one thing about it, again, is that people loves to try Karma Kaboom. They do. I'll say that. And the reason why they love to try her is because they already know that, number one, she is not a clear thinking individual. Number one, she is very dysfunctional as far as her dealings with the environment, how she likes to play the victim and everything, and does not understand that she is the reason why a lot of things happen. And the thing about it is they get a rise out of it. And the thing about it, again, is that they will go toe to toe and bat to bat with her. And see, I know I sit back and I watch. I don't take sides, but I watch to see just how far this situation is going to go. And the thing about it is that, you know, once she feels that she has been, once she knows, I should say, that she has been defeated in a beef, if you will, she, you know, for the most part, starts uttering these ridiculous, you know, unladylike things. But yet still on the back end, she wants to somehow turn around and apologize and say, you know, I'm still a child of God. Well, the Bible says that all souls are his anyway. Even the soul that sins, God said it belongs to him. So you don't even have to actually acknowledge or actually tell anybody who actually knows the Bible or is a clear thinking. You don't have to tell us or remind us of that. But the issue is that you cannot use that as a reason for you to keep saying these foul things out of your mouth just because you think that you can say, I'm a child of God. Well, hey, you know what? If that's the way that you want to think of how, you know, how things are supposed to be according to your world, then you keep doing just that. You know, it's crazy because, again, people want to serve God on their own terms, and they want to kind of manipulate God to be the God that they want him to be, not the God that God says that he is. But she always wants to, in a sense, put herself on a higher level by saying that, I'm not like these people that are around me. And the thing about it, again, is that, when she says stuff like this, it brings me back to the verse in the Bible that says that we are in the world, but we are not of the world. So that tells me here that it's okay. We have to live in the world around sinful people. And again, remember, we were born in sin by nature because of, the concept of what went on with Adam and Eve. So we were born in sin. But even though, we may have become saved and want to become a new creature, we got to still understand that we are still having to deal with people who still, want to get a rise out of us. But you cannot sit up there and actually reach down and go in the trash can with people and duke it out with them. And then when you feel like you have done something, when you feel like you've gotten enough, you want to put yourself on a higher self and say, you know what, I'm better than you. You know what, I don't have to go and reach down there and go back and forth with you because I'm better than you. And see, that's pretty much what she does. And that's the reason why things continue to happen to her. Because again, she's trying to represent something, but is actually acting a totally different way than what she is proclaiming that she is. And like I said, I've actually pretty much brought that to light many times before. So, I don't want to keep going back and reiterating the same thing when you can clearly see what I'm talking about. I want to go also to another video, or not another video, but another post that she did where it was a little bit lengthy. But, she had a whole lot to say as far as, I guess her issues with people not wanting to engage her on her social media platform. And see, this goes back to the very same thing that I was trying to tell you people about as far as this narcissistic behavior. And the thing about it, again, is that, it's okay to see it in others, but yet still, when you don't see it in yourself, we have a real problem. And basically, I don't want to go through and read this line by line because basically, for the most part, you all have eyes and you can read. So basically, if you need to read it, you can pause the video and read what she had to post. For those that haven't seen her post. But basically, she was saying that, she was actually going in and putting up. She always continues to post on social media, and she only really gets one interaction from one person over and over again, the same person, but yet still she, said that she has all of these people who are subscribers that supposedly love her, but she doesn't get any interaction. And see, my thing about it is that, again, when you have to be careful what you ask for. When she gets the interactions that she's asking for, it's not usually the ones that she is wanting, and which means then that here we go, she's in another beef with somebody. And see, that's why, sometimes you have to let a fool be a fool. You just have to, because basically they really don't have any true wisdom in their heart, because if they did, they would know for the most part, how this social media thing operates. See, people wants to be so popular. Number one, the Bible tells us is that, to gain, you cannot want to serve God. What's that scripture says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and yet still lose his own soul? So basically that tells me that you wants to be a friend of the world. And then you want to also be equal with God as far as, she wants to be equal. She wants to have the popularity of people. She wants to be liked. But yet still, when she feels that, that's not enough, then she wants to turn around and get all spiritual and gaudy and all this other type of stuff. And see, this is what I call insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over. You keep bouncing back and forth. And the thing about it is that nothing is going to change. I promise you that. Nothing is going to change. Because again, you're exhibiting the same behaviors, but you're wanting to make sure, or you're wanting to see that there is something different in the outcome, on the other side. And basically, sometimes it can be painful to watch. Sometimes she do videos and I just maybe listen to maybe the first 5 minutes, and then she still, goes over the same talking points. And I'm like, you know what, let me go on to something else, because she's not really giving something new or issuing some sort of newfound knowledge on something. It's always the same old thing. Oh, woe is me. And this, that, and the other, I'm like, woman, you know what? You really need to maybe think about maybe giving up YouTube altogether and maybe pursuing something, because it sounds like she goes through so much hell on YouTube, you know, with trying to win subscribers, trying to do that, this, that, and the other, you know, and getting people, you know, to be a part of her memberships. And the thing about it, again, is that with her memberships, I promise you, people are paying, even though it may not be that much, but they're not paying because they truly enjoy her content. They're actually wanting to get, you know, to get there, to get as much garbage or as much information as they can. So in the future, if she happens to have a beef with them, they can go and spill all of her dirty laundry. I promise you, everybody who actually claims and wants to pay to see your content that you don't post here on your regular YouTube channel, they're not doing it for the reasons that you think. It's so funny that you are 40 something years old and you still want to be liked by people. You want people to enjoy. You want people to have so much nice things to say about you. And the thing in and of itself, I looking at it from a, you know, just generally speaking, yeah, you want people, you know, to have nice things to say about you. But the issue is that when you've come from the school of hard knocks, you know, and you've lived a while, the light bulb should go off that, you know what, everybody is not going to like you. And who's to say that they're supposed to anyway? That's why, you know, when I run across trolls or whatever on my videos, you know, I handle them a certain way. Number one, I pick their brain just to see where they're coming from, just enough so I can know how to deal with them. And then I know when enough is enough. I stop and I just stop engaging them. I don't have to explain myself to anybody. And I had to say that a couple of times with, you know, a recent video that I did where I'm like, well, you're on my page, you know, and yeah, you know, I give you enough courtesy, you know, to express your comments. But hey, let's not get crazy here. You're on my playground. OK, and I allow you to play on my playground until I see that you're getting a little bit insulting. And now the door's got to be closed and hey, you got to be thrown out of there. Now, if you keep this thing up, then, hey, I will just have to do what I have to do so I don't have to worry about your poisonous words. And I keep it classy. I don't come out of character. And I don't say anything that's ill will, but I make sure I get my point across. When you have confidence, you know how to deal with people in a competent manner. You don't have to go through and start hitting below the belt. You don't have to go with actually attacking someone's sexuality. You don't have to go with all of these name callings because, number one, you're confident in what you have to deliver and people will understand where you're going with it without having to kind of question or wonder why you're saying what you're saying. It was clearly stated and you understood where I came from. With confident people, you don't have to explain yourself. Insecurity always has to have a voice. It always wants to be heard. It always wants to be recognized. And that's pretty much what we have here is a clear case of insecurity. You know, she also, you know, she actually did, I guess, another video, I guess. I don't know. This was, I guess, a while back or whatever, where she said that she was actually going into, I guess, a convenience store and she didn't understand why people kept looking at her, you know, basically. And it's like the woman could not clearly see. I don't know if she doesn't look herself over before you leave the house, but especially with a female with these lace front wigs, you know. And the thing about it, again, is when you wear a lace front wig, and again, I'm only speaking from speculation because, again, you know, I don't know, but the lace front wig is supposed to somehow blend in with your skull. Now, I don't understand why she wanted to wonder why people was looking at her. Maybe she doesn't look herself over in the mirror before she leaves in the morning to go take care of business. I don't know. I'm just only putting that out there. But you can clearly see, just looking at this picture, why anybody would be staring at her. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you where people may have been looking at her, why they were actually talking about her as she was entering and leaving the convenience store. If you take a look at the arrows and seeing where it's pointing, you know, on the picture, you can actually see why people would have been talking about her. Again, there's nobody that's perfect. But when you put yourself out there thinking that you have all of your stuff together, you best believe people are going to be looking at you now and trying to figure out how they can dismantle you point by point. Because you set the energy. You came out there actually thinking that you're all self-righteous and that you can look at people and think that, and look down on people thinking that you don't have your stuff together. But when you clearly see from the picture that I'm showing you, it can clearly be seen why people were talking. And again, people are going to talk. It is what it is, but you gave them a reason to look to look you over so they can find an issue to talk about. And I'm pretty sure that they were talking about it and maybe even laughed right as she was entering, or exiting the convenience store. But, I want to kind of focus and kind of change the flavor or the way that, I want to change the tone of this and pretty much let's talk about the law for just a moment, because again, in a lot of her videos, she is quick to say that, that she's going to file different lawsuits on the grounds of intellectual property, and the fact that people are using her images without her permission and this, that, and the other. There is a concept that for the most part that people don't understand. And basically it's the concept that's called fair use. Now, when in my research, because again, I know I don't have a big channel and, and YouTube does not pay me for my videos, like I say, and because I'm good with that because I have a job. But the issue is that there are certain things that you can actually use as far as content in your videos whenever you're wanting to, do a video, and for the most part, and if you're actually going to be using, images or clips of other things to include in your video, you have to make sure that you are actually using or actually knowing what you're using. And, for the most part, so in the event someone wants to actually, let's say, file a complaint or a grievance to YouTube, they won't have a leg to stand on. I'm pretty sure that there was videos that I did in the past where I actually included images of her, basically, which were not all too flattering, and she didn't like that. And I'm sure that she pretty much went to, the people who run YouTube, Google, to see if they can get the video taken down. They were never taken down because she didn't have a leg to stand on, because I was able to research to figure out that, okay, hey, if I use this material, is there anything that could, that could happen where this person could actually come back, and have my video taken down? So I wanted to kind of focus on, what fair use is. And for the most part, what is acceptable when you're using, other material in your videos when you're actually wanting to, deliver information. Number one, criticism is actually protected under fair use. Again, I was going and reading it, and basically, depending on, I guess, the direction on where you're going with the criticism, I guess, I don't know, it can turn into a legal issue, but just general information, just barely just delivering information about somebody, not for the most part to defame them. I mean, and again, defamation is pretty much, I guess, speculative, depending on how that person wants to argue their case. But when you're just giving just basic criticism, you're not breaking any YouTube guidelines. And basically also, when you're using screenshots, and again, and I wanted to make sure that I include this part, in my research so folks will know that, it's okay to include screenshots, basically. It says here, fair use applies to screenshots of movies and intellectual property, for the most part. If screenshots of these materials are transformative, or if they depict small or part of an overall work and don't act as a substitute for the original, there's a good chance that the screenshot is legal. So basically, for the most part, that's letting me know that screenshots are okay. And again, what I did is, I usually go through and look at, videos and whatnot, and, and try to determine an appropriate screenshot that illustrates a point that I'm trying to make. And again, some people may like it, some may don't. It is what it is. But my thing is that, you can use other material, and I think you can even use movies, but it actually has to, or, video clips, but I think it has to be up to a certain level or a certain time frame. I think you can actually use, I think in duration, I think they were saying you can use like maybe 30 seconds of a video clip or something like that in your videos. And I've used other folks' videos in my YouTube, videos in the past to illustrate a certain point. As long as it's educational and it's actually trying to drive home a certain concept, then it's considered fair use. And the thing about it, again, is a lot of people go back and forth with, fair use and intellectual property and this, that, and the other. And see, one thing about it, again, is that whenever you're speaking also on the terms on the flip side of intellectual property, for the most part, yes, it's yours. But basically what you got to understand also is that even when you upload your videos to YouTube, even though it's yours per se, there is an agreement or an understanding that YouTube can use that information for its intent, for a purpose all of their own. So yeah, even though you may have a channel on YouTube, okay, the fact that you're actually uploading it to a public forum on YouTube, on Google's platform, means that Google also has a hand in say on how they would like to use that as well. See, one thing about it again is that you got to understand something, is that I look at it this way. You got a lot of people that say, oh, and she's quick to say, you know what, I'm going to go, and file a lawsuit on this, that, and the other. But you're actually uploading content on a public forum. You yourself are a public figure. Now, if this was something that was done, let's say on a website that you created that's your own, where you created it and you're running things on there, that's a totally separate scenario. But if you're uploading and you're a public figure and you're posting, the video where it's for the public to view, then people can have the right to respond to it, because basically you're uploading videos for people to have something to say. So you can't get mad when people actually comment or have something to say in response to your videos, because again, that's a risk that you take whenever you're uploading videos to YouTube. That's pretty much, to me, common sense. But like I say, I'm just going to sit back and actually see, and just enjoy just this person that we call YouTube, or just, I can't say that. I would say we're going to enjoy this person that we see that calls herself Karmika Boom, and just see just how far she's willing to go, with these threats that she makes as far as intellectual property, and again, but for the most part, you have to make sure that even though you're talking about intellectual property, you have to make sure also that you include the fair use portion on there as well. Fair use is normally what's actually when you have a lot of reaction channels and this, that, and the other. And there was a big legal issue regarding that as far as what can actually be used, as far as fair use. Because again, when you are very insecure and people are saying they're saying things that you don't want to hear, but they're right on point, of course you're going to argue. You're going to pretty much make threats. You're going to pretty much say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this, that, and the other because you said this, that, and the other. Go right ahead, because I know if I haven't actually broken any law and I haven't violated any YouTube terms of service, then I am confident in my work, and that I know that I did not break any of YouTube's community guidelines. Okay, folks, that's all that I have for today. More videos coming soon. Be blessed, folks. Bye-bye.